The reduced win rate of the Russian faction in the past week is due to Russia government crackdown on VPN, resulting is many player from Russia being disconnected. Today's post is pretty interesting, essentially. This guy started a thread, and it gets a lot better, trust me. He said, "The game has been unbalanced for over a month now. Are you planning what to do about this, or are you completely satisfied with everything? Why don't we hear developers about this at all? Where did the vaunted communication skills go? Where are the regular patches? Do you really need that much time to release new balance changes?" And this is the daily win rate for Russia and US. Since the patch, it's flipped. It was Russia higher, and now the US is higher, and it's actually higher than it's basically ever been, apart from the first day after the patch. And the developer responded, and what he said was really, really interesting. So I'm just going to read this out in stages, and I'll add my commentary where appropriate. The reduced win rate of the Russian faction in the past week is due to Russia government crackdown on VPN, resulting is many player from Russia being disconnected. So yeah, the title is not clickbait. Essentially, he's saying that the reason the Russian win rate is lower this week is because VPNs in Russia have been reduced, and that means that they're having more disconnects during games. And Russians typically play Russia, therefore, the Russian win rate is lower because Russians are being disconnected because of the Russian government. The number of disconnection from this region has more than doubled, and to be clear, this measurement is not about people who leave the match or Alt plus F4 the game. And since players from Russia are numerous and play the Russian faction about 75% of the time, this is impacting the win rates a lot. This is an interesting statistic. Russians play Russia 3/4 of the time. It's not particularly surprising, really. I mean, Americans tend to play as America. As you know, I cover a game called Wano, and that's why I've got a female mind. And basically, yeah, Americans tend to play as America. I'm British. I mean, obviously I'm brown, right? But I was born here, and so I play as Britain a lot. A lot of the Russians play as Russia, so this thing it does happen. I'm surprised it's 3/4 of the time, but there's only two factions in this, so it's not actually that big a difference. The gameplay win rate, which excludes the matches with players losing connection, is much better, which presumably is this. Since the patch, we observed a steady trend from 20% to 10% win rate discrepancy during the first 20 days due to ELO recalibration and players adapting to the changes, followed by a stabilization of around 9.5% in the next 20 days. So essentially, due to ELO recalibration. So what's going on is you'll have people who mainly play Russia. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people play both factions, but there are, well, I mean, he's saying that that's actually not the case. And there's a lot of people who just play Russia or just play America. Now, if you just play Russia and Russia gets massively nerfed, your elo is going to fall because, well, your faction that you always play is worse, right? So you're going to lose more than you lost before. So your elo should fall. And then, in an ideal system, it should stabilize. So basically, elo is your skill, right? If it's working properly. And so if your elo is correct, if it is where it should be, you should win 50% of your games, right? Because you'll win one, go up an elo, then you'll be matched up against better players, and then you'll go down some elo. Of course, most people, you'd expect their elos to slowly climb simply because of you should be getting better at the game. But everybody else is getting better at the game as well as they play more. Anyway, I hope you understand this point. Players adapting to the changes is fairly self-explanatory, right? You buy fewer Barbaris now. This value is rather high, but slightly inferior to the pre-patch discrepancy. Note that the objective cannot be 0% discrepancy, because RTS balance is a very complex and is a very chaotic environment. So, yeah, for instance, an oscillation within 5% win rates discrepancy was discovered as the best they can achieve by Blizzard concerning StarCraft 2, and compared to us, they basically had infinite resources to achieve that. So he's saying that he's aiming for, he's aiming to make the balance as good as possible, but you would expect it to be, about 5% difference, which incidentally, if you look at this chart before the patch, because this is 50, that's 40, that's 60, the difference was like maybe 8%. And you see it is actually coming back down here. I assume that this includes like or removes the disconnects or something, because if you look at it looks very different here. Here it's closer together, so he's removed the Russian disconnects due to the Russian government crackdown. So while the balance is now favouring the US faction, whereas it was previously favouring Russia, the win rates balance is actually better than pre-patch. So yeah, this must be edited data, right? And he's saying that this is now closer together than this. This violent shift can be explained by multiple reasons. One, the changes themselves. This is the initial impulse. The game was favouring Russia in a stable manner, so it was required to modify the balance. The combination between balance changes and technical fixes impacting the balance in the same direction have resulted in quite a strong impulse. One, again, elo recalibration. Many players play one faction more than the other, as evidenced here. As a result, these players can end up overrated or underrated depending on the faction played. When the balance changes are applied, these players see their performance heavily impacted, resulting in a strong shift of win rates until their rating stabilizes again. 2, I guess this is 3, but whatever. Among the factions playing a faction more than the other, many are playing the best performing faction. While Russia, yeah, this is very true. You see this in every game. We see this in Warner as well. You will find players who just play whatever's broken, and then the broken div will change to another div. Sorry, we call them divisions as opposed to, well, specializations, I suppose. And they will either quit the game or they will change to the other overpowered division. There's a lot of players like that, particularly near the top of the ranked ladder. While Russia was the most played faction before the patch, USA is the most played faction after. So actually, there's actually quite a lot of players doing this. It's a shame, really. One trend that can be observed easily is that players are performing better with the faction they play the most. Training makes you better, so USA becomes easier to play. Some players switch to play it more, become better at playing it, and by doing so amplify the variation. As you can see, the period of transition can be quite long, and the result hard to predict precisely, so it is not possible to make balance patches faster than transition time plus work time plus delivery time, but we can now consider the transition from the previous patch achieved and are currently working on the next steps. So as you can see, this post has been very negatively received. Even in my weakened state, I've been contacted numerous times to cover this. The first line is really, really funny, man. I mean, he then, if you actually take the time to read the rest of it, and I hope you have stuck with me thus far, you can see that he's actually making some very good points. The fact that let's say these factions one was very slightly better than the other, like very, very slightly, maybe 1% win difference. Those differences will be exaggerated by these people, these meta sweats who literally just play whatever's the best. So I think that's fair enough, really. But this thing, the reduced win rate of the Russian faction in the past week is due to Russian government crackdowns on VPN, resulting in many players from Russia being disconnected. That is hilarious. I don't think he should have opened with this, because that's the only thing anybody's been talking about. Anyway, I hope this cleared things up, and hopefully I make a full recovery soon, but I played too much Broken Arrow, so anyway, have a lovely day.